Well. Hello, everyone. Hi. I am Aimee Raupp of AimeeRaupp.com, and I'm here, as always, with you every single week to talk about, you know, good, juicy health stuff. What we can do to reawaken our health, what we can do to live our best lives mentally, emotionally, physically, nutritionally, and for many of my followers, what we can do to get and stay pregnant, right? What we can do to optimize our hormones, to balance our hormones, to achieve our healthiest life. And health is mental, it's emotional, it's physical, it's nutritional. Everybody loves my glasses. Thank you. These are another pair of my blue light glasses. They help a lot. I've been like all of us, I feel like my screen time uptick has been tremendous during COVID. Just with my work is basically all on the screen now. And wearing these start to finish on my long days helps me so much. Otherwise, I am completely wiped out at the end of the day. So I really feel like they're protecting me. And for all the women out there too, like I think not wearing blue light glasses can impact your menstrual cycle. So really consider it. It's a very, very, very important thing to be doing. And we do have some recommended blue light glasses on my website too, under my recommended products. So check out, these ones are there. And then these ones too, which I love in pink. They're so fun. So today we're talking about bone broth, collagen peptides, bone broth protein powder, gelatin. What the hell is the difference? What one do I need? What one do I use, right? So everybody always asks me. So I do the collagen peptides every single day, so I don't need to eat bone broth, right? Wrong. Definitely wrong. As I always say, and I have a whole like info sheet that I wrote out that I'm gonna go through, and we have links to some of my favorite products too that we will share as this call goes on. And of course, I'm here to answer questions. But just basic, keep in mind, bone broth has been a recommendation in Chinese medicine, which is the medicine that I practice, for thousands of years, thousands and thousands of years. Collagen peptides are a new hit. They're pretty trendy. They're very popular. Everybody uses them. I don't think they're harmful by any means, but they are not bone broth, okay? And so just keep that in mind. You typically need both. One is better at certain things than the other, but really bone broth gives you every single thing you need, okay? Gelatin comes from cooking down bone broth, cooking down bones comes the gelatin. Gelatin is what I like to call baby glue. So I really love my women who are trying to conceive, especially in the luteal phase, to be consuming bone broth because the gelatin helps make that baby stick and stay. And so that is how I look at it. I personally consume collagen peptides, 1 scoop a day in my coffee beverage or other hot beverages, whatever I drink. And I also consume about 4 to 6 to 8 ounces of bone broth every single day. Maybe there's days I don't, but typically I do. And there you have it. If I make gummies for James, I use gelatin. But typically, I kind of cook most of the foods that we have with some kind of bone broth. I add bone broth to James's homemade mac and cheese. I just get it in where I can to my whole family because it's so nutrient dense and so supportive of health on every level. Whereas collagen is supportive to health mainly in the hair, skin, and nails category, and somewhat for, some research has shown that's very beneficial for arthritis. So let me get into what I have written up here so I can just kind of make sure I hit all my points. And you guys just roll in with your questions. But so bone broth and collagen peptides and gelatin and bone broth protein powder. So Dr. Axe makes some good bone broth protein powders. I'm sure there's some other good ones out there. Naked Nutrition makes a great collagen peptides. Vital Proteins makes a good collagen peptides. I interchange between one of those in the house, and then I make my own homemade bone broth, or I buy it from one of my Aimee approved bone broth sites. If you just go to aimeeraupp.com/bone broth, that's where I buy my bone broth from. But let's get into, so what is collagen and why is it so important? So it aids in the function of literally, collagen aids in the function of literally almost every single mechanism in your body. It has super essential amino acids like glycine, proline, tyrosine, lysine, and it's the most abundant protein substance in the body. It helps to form the tissues in your skin and internal organs that hold your entire body together. There are even cellular receptor sites for collagen in your hair, your eyes, your teeth. And research shows that collagen is good for arthritis. Okay, and super random. So I'm going to get into why are the chicken feet super important, but it's because chicken feet have so much gelatin in them. So if you want to make a really good proper broth at home, homemade bone broth, you got to use the chicken feet. That's why. You ever see them? They're like really like thick and gelatinous, the chicken feet. And they just make a super rich broth. So that's why you use them. So bone broth versus collagen. As I said, bone broth is an ancient tradition to nourish and support health and healing. Collagen is a popular substance that is manufactured. I mean, it is created in a laboratory somewhere. Hydrolyzed collagen peptides. They do come from animal products, and I only buy ones that are coming from grass-fed animal products. But that is the difference, is basically broth is this homemade nutritious substance that gives you so much more than just collagen. And collagen peptides give you one type of collagen. Bone broth, there's up to 28 different types of collagen. So keep that in mind too. And some of the bone broth protein powders only give you like 3 or 4 different types of collagen. Bone broth, it gives you everything. Everything. Especially if you cook I cook the whole chicken with the chicken feet. And so, both are great sources of collagen. So, and then gelatin is, again, typically not typically, again, from animal products and cooked down. And then it's thick. It's what's used to make Jello. So gelatin is really, really sticky. So it's slightly better than collagen peptides, but not as easy to ingest. So for me, I just get my gelatin from homemade bone broth or from bone broth that I buy from bone broth from aimeeraupp.com/bone broth. And then I rely on my collagen peptides just for my hair, skin, and nails, and because it has been shown to help with, some gut health and skin and holds things together. So they're both great sources of collagen. And collagen is more about, age-defying, healthy skin, hair, nails, like I said, arthritic joints, bones, that kind of thing. So many people consume just the collagen peptides. Many people consume just the bone broth. Some people consume both. It really just depends on you, your lifestyle. Like I said, I do both. In our house, every single person gets a scoop of collagen peptides at some point during the day. My husband and I do it in our coffee. James, I sneak it into something somewhere. And then I do cook with bone broth. I always cook our rice in bone broth. I cook, like I said, if I make James mac and cheese, I add bone broth to that instead of milk and an egg. And, I spice it up in many healthy ways. All my soups are made with bone broth. What else do I do? I typically like sip on it like a tea, so it's just a regular thing that we have on a regular basis. If I make pasta, I'm using good quality non-glutinous grain pasta. If I use a tomato sauce, guess what I also add to that tomato sauce? Some bone broth. So everybody gets that on a regular basis. We're just getting it in because it's just so good for our body. So bone broth is a great source of collagen. But collagen is by no means a substitute for bone broth. So just remember that. And gelatin too, it's a substrate of the bone broth and a really important substrate of the bone broth, but it is not a substitute. Bone broth is bone broth and it is the almighty. The collagen peptides, the bone broth protein powders, the gelatin are all, like I call bone broth, it's like your A+. It is like your master of all masters. All the other stuff, the bone broth protein powder is probably like an A-. Gelatin, a B+, collagen peptides, a B, if I were doing it on a grading system. But the bone broth, the collagen and the gelatin are not giving you everything else the bone broth will give you. So the bone broth protein powder is going to give you more than the collagen and gelatin, And then the bone broth itself is the almighty. So to think of it like that, it's like a spectrum. Um, and, of course, bone broth is made from boiling down the bones of beef, chicken, fish, lamb. You can also find there's fish broth out there for those people that don't like, meat. There's fish broths out there. There's fish protein, collagen peptides out there. So you can do it. Vital Choice is a great place to look for fish broth. They make it. So in addition to collagen, and as I said, there's 28 different types of collagen that we currently know of. So in addition to collagen, bone broth also contains 19 other essential amino acids, including glutamine, which is vital for your gut function. So when you hear things like bone broth heals the gut, that is why, because of that glutamine, because of the collagen, because of the gelatin. And the gut, 80% of your immune system lies in your gut. So if you want to fix your immune system, if you have allergies, if you have autoimmune conditions, if you have fertility challenges that are autoimmune related, it all starts with the gut. So that's why bone broth is just so utterly important. If you have digestive issues, skin issues, like broth is the way to go. And just doing collagen peptides is not gonna get you there the same way broth will. So it also contains alkyl glycerols, collagen type 2, glucosamine, chondroitin, hyaluronic acid, and like I said, 19 other amino acids. So that's bone broth. So the alkyl glycerols are lipids that are also found in colostrum, which is the first milk that a mammal produces after giving birth. These are linked to chronic disease prevention and healing, including cancer. Of course, bone broth powder contains these essential minerals such as magnesium, calcium, potassium, and phosphorus. So keep that in mind. Bone broth is going to give you all your collagens plus 19 amino acids plus these really, really important things to help with healing your gut, healing your immune system, preventing chronic disease. That's bone broth, okay? Bone broth must be from grass-fed animals. There's no other way you should consume it. How much bone broth a day should we aim for? I currently have half a cup. I think that's perfect. And yes, you can get pregnant. I mentioned 4 to 6 ounces, 4 to 5 times a week. I personally probably do 4 to 6 ounces 7 days a week, so it's up to you and then the resources you have. But yes, that's perfect. So keep in mind the kind of bone broth you want to make it. I have bone broth recipes. I have, and we can share those links with you guys. So just message us and Facebook, we can post it. But I have my recipes on how to make bone broth yourself and the important things of adding the vinegar and good quality water and adding the chicken feet and adding the parsley. Like there's a whole way you're supposed to make bone broth. And I have that all mapped out if you guys want those recipes. I think I have a YouTube video on how I do it. There's plenty of information for you guys. Or if you're going to buy pre-made bone broth, do not buy powdered bone broth. It is missing essential important ingredients. Do not do that. Don't do that and add water, meaning to make your broth. You can buy bone broth that is in the frozen section, that's in those containers and frozen. And it has to, again, be from grass-fed animals. You want to know that it's made with good quality water, filtered water. You also want to know that they add vinegar and they also add parsley, which helps with the mineralization. So really important to know who you're buying it from. So for me, I always buy from aimeeraupp.com/bone broth. Or because I'm local to Manhattan, I buy from Brodo or Springbone. Those are my only places I buy broth. Occasionally, so there is like the Kettle and Fire broth, and then there's the other one. I actually do have that downstairs, which is from grass-fed, and I buy it frozen. I'm gonna forget the brand right now. It'll come back to me. So questions. I've been making my own bone broth. When I make bone broth and store it in the fridge, a layer of fat comes to the top. Should I consume this layer of fat? Yeah, that's the gelatin. I keep it. Some people swish it off. I keep it. There's a great cookbook called Nourishing Traditions that gives you exact bone broth recipes. That's the recipe I follow. I've been making my own bone broth. Good question. But the question I have is, do you roast your bones or do you cook them raw? I don't make beef broth, which is where it's recommended to roast the bones. I do a whole chicken, and I just put the whole chicken in the pot. I cook the whole thing down, and then I keep the chicken meat. I separate that out. I keep the chicken meat, and I make, like chicken salad or chicken tacos with that. Does the fish broth contain as much of the same benefits? Yeah, it's pretty similar because it's still bones. Fish have bones. So, yes, it's very similar. Um, I have a handful of clients that do it. Okay, so, and another really important thing about bone broth is it's anti-inflammatory. So, the research behind this has been extensively studied. There's a body of research going back to the 90s. Bone broth has been shown to reduce inflammation when consumed regularly, which is good news for people with autoimmune or inflammatory conditions. The keys are, though, the ones I mentioned. It's got to be from grass-fed animals. It needs to be made with filtered water, and just properly prepared. That is the key. Like with so much of our foodstuffs, it's the proper preparation, and it's the speediness at which we prepare things in our current society that's fucking up the properties and the benefits of these foods. So proper preparation of broth is crucial. So if you're buying store-bought broth, it has to be properly prepared. And again, do not buy it in a box. Do not buy it in a powder form. Buy it in the frozen section where it's actually real deal frozen broth. Okay. So I want to look at Facebook, make sure I'm not missing any questions there. Okay. Do you have good homemade recipe for chicken bone broth? I do. So just Luis, we can post it. Bone broth from chicken feet or lamb feet, same nutrition wise, but better to make chicken feet only. Yeah, supposedly chicken feet are the best, but I think lamb feet would work too. Even pig's feet, they're very gelatinous. Pig's knuckles. My grandmother used to eat pig's knuckles. Chicken feet sounds gross. Yeah, it is. It's weird, but it works. When is the best time to eat bone broth? Can this be classed as a meal or just a warm snack or a soup? Yeah, I mean, 6 ounces of broth has about, I think, 8 grams of protein, and a good amount of fat. So absolutely it can be a meal. I always add an egg to mine and some vegetable. So I make like my bone broth egg drop soup with spinach. And so then that way I'm actually getting like 11 to 12 grams of protein, a whole serving of vegetables, and some good fat. And that's how I make it a meal. So yes, it can definitely be a meal, or it can be like a cup of tea basically before bed for some protein before bed. And okay, so I've been making batches for the freezer. Winter is coming, lots of soup. Exactly. I can never find chicken feet, organic pasture raised, so I just omit them. Is this okay? It's okay. It's not like you really want the feet. So there are a lot of great places online that you can buy them. I get them from northstarbison.com or, oh my gosh, my brain, I swear. I don't know if it's the screen time, but like I just can't remember things the way I used to. North Star Bison, and there's another place, Caitlin, that I talk about where I order my bone broth. But just literally Google organic frozen chicken feet, and you will find places, and they ship them to you. That's how I do it. Epic bone broth. So that's the one I bought and I have downstairs. I think it is okay. I don't mind the taste. I use it for things if I ran out and need some. Again, just as long as it's from grass-fed animals and they use filtered water, which they do for Epic. Just nothing shelf stable. Yeah, my bone broth recipes, we've put them. I also have a video on how to make bone broth. Just Google Aimee Raupp bone broth video, and it'll come up on YouTube. Your recipe says to put parsley in the last few minutes. I've always added to simmer the full time. Should I change it? So supposedly, if you put it in the last few minutes, it really like mineralizes the product, and so that's how I do it. But sometimes I put it in the whole time. But I do think it's best if you put it in right at the end, and it kind of mineralizes it. Do we need to add parsley? Can we admit this one? According to Nourishing Traditions, where I base all of my recipe from, the parsley is very important, so I add it. If we can only get organic whole chickens, is that okay? Doesn't say free range. Ideally, it's free range. Organic is better than non-organic, so sure. Um, so can we use non-organic broth? I would say no, don't use non-organic broth, but you could use kosher. I think kosher has better regulations than non-organic. But it's typically still commercially farmed meat. So you really want to be particular about your meats. You can also go to Butcher Box. They do have some whole organic chickens that they will ship to you. A good butcher to talk to, ask them to give you the chicken feet. My butcher in town keeps the chicken feet, and they're in the back. I just ask them for them, and they're from the organic chickens. So, yeah, I think it's just finding your resources, asking around, finding the good places online where you can buy them. And again, I always order mine online, like I said, from aimeeraupp.com/bone broth if I can't make it myself. And I really trust how they're making it and all the things they're doing. So just a little bit about the collagen peptides. So the collagen powder supplements normally come in the forms of collagen peptides, also known as hydrolyzed collagen or collagen hydrolysis. A special process called enzymatic hydrolysis is used to break collagen fibrils down into smaller parts. This concentrates the collagen peptides and makes for super absorbency in your body. So there's a little bit of manufacturing that goes on with the peptides. But taking more collagen just helps your body produce more collagen. So, and these supplements have been also extensively studied. There's substantial body research to support their use. They help with reducing pain and stiffness in the joints. They help with aging, improve the skin, measurable results in reducing wrinkles and increasing pliability of the skin. So generally speaking, bone broth is the best for people who want a broad range of overall nutrients. And they really want those immune enhancing, anti-inflammatory benefits, healing benefits. That's bone broth. While pure collagen peptide powders are better if you're targeting results such as beauty, skin, hair, nails, and joints. So collagen peptide powders do have a higher collagen concentration than bone broth. So think about that too. So that's why I do both. I just cover my bases with both pretty much every single day. And I do think it's had major added benefits to my hair, my skin, my nails, and just joints and all of that. And then the bone broth itself too, to the immune system and to my digestive health and just to, I think general chronic disease prevention. So you can order chicken feet online. That's right, Lillian. I'm typically consuming 16 ounces of broth in one serving, 1 to 2 times a week. Should I be having smaller portions more frequently? I think that is great too, Sarah. So I think that's a good question. Should I spread it out or I think, if you're just getting in, say, 40 ounces a week, I do think you're hitting your mark. So, I just make sure I would get, the 16 ounces at least twice a week. And maybe like a little snack on the side of a third day. Is Nutrizing collagen powder okay? I don't know that brand. So right now the brands that I know of and I feel good recommending are Vital Proteins and Naked Nutrition for the collagen peptides. So the big things you want to look for is make sure it's from grass-fed animals. That is the key with the collagen peptides. How often can we add more water to the bronze to make another batch? I think you could make a batch, like 2 batches out of one set of bones, maybe a third batch. I don't roast the bones. I buy my beef stock from aimeeraupp.com/bone broth, and I make my own chicken. And I don't reuse the bones in the chicken. I just do it once, and that gives me enough broth for probably a week or 2. Can you buy collagen peptides in liquid form? I am not sure, but they come in a powder and they dissolve in liquid very quickly. So I don't think you need to do that. So let's see. Any other questions? Super random, but why are the chicken feet? Okay, so I already answered that. Let me go down to the bottom. Do you add any salt and pepper to your homemade broth? I do. Again, I think Beth just posted the recipe. We posted it on on Facebook. So if you guys want my recipe, again, it's in my books. It's in all my books, but there's also a YouTube video on me making bone broth. Just Google Aimee Raupp and bone broth or look on my blog. I read that you need to cook and peel the chicken feet before making them into broth. Is this step necessary? I never do that. I never heard that either. Again, I base everything off of Nourishing Traditions, which is Sally Fallon's book, and I don't recall that as a recommendation. So, do you have a list of your approved bone broth brands posted? I do, and they're on my website. If you go under Aimee's recommended supplements or Aimee's recommendations, it's on my website, aimeeraupp.com. It's there. Epic Artisanal Bone Broth approved. I haven't had time to do the research on that. The big things are they using filtered water? Do they use the vinegar and the parsley? So those are the big things I would look at in grass-fed bones. How long does the bone broth last before going bad? I think this is an important topic. When I make my bone broth, I probably put it in like 16-ounce jars. I put 1 or 2 in the fridge that we're going to go through in the next 2 days, maybe 3 days max. The rest gets frozen and I pull out as I need, like the day before. So last night I pulled out a jar to use today. If you keep broth too long in the refrigerator, the histamine content does go up, and some people have a bad reaction to that. So I think it's best to use the broth within 2 to 3 days once it's thawed. So once I make a batch, like I said, I freeze majority of it and then thaw as needed. Can we use lemon instead of vinegar? Maybe. It's something about what the vinegar does to leach to break down the bones. So I don't know exactly what that active component is, so you might have to look that up. And then let's see. Anything else? Yeah. Okay, guys. So aimeeraupp.com/bone broth for my recommended store-bought bone broth. Google or search or message us for my bone broth recipes. Again, they're all in my books, but then also I do have some YouTube videos on there and some blog posts on there. So just Google Aimee Raupp and bone broth and they'll come up. And yeah, but get it in. You can do it how I do it, where you're getting some collagen peptides and some bone broth in every single day. And that's great for your immune system, great for inflammation in your body, great for your joints, great for your hair, skin, nails, great for your vitality, great for your essence or your jing, which in Chinese medicine, anything cooked down from bones is really good for essence and jing. And anybody looking to defy aging or improve fertility as they age or reverse or hold off that aging process, bone broth is one of the key substances to doing that. So, okay, my loves, have a wonderful day. I'm going to go and I'm going to go make myself some bone broth right now. Mwah. Ciao for now.